Happy Navratri wishes to everyone across the globe. I'm Dr. Sweta Adatia and thank you for being with the channel, liking, subscribing and sharing. All the love that you guys have been giving us has been absolutely incredible. I'm extremely humbled by it, and I think the vision of the Limitless Brain Lab is to bring out these nuances of neuroscience, connecting to our deep ancient wisdom, Indian wisdom or Eastern wisdom, so that we can have and tap the limitless potentials for each of us, you and me. We are in the midst of a beautiful, beautiful thing called Navratri. I belong to the state of Gujarat, and that is always a fervor of celebration. We do the dandiya, we have so many traditional dances, folklores, folk songs, folk dances, which happens during the Navratri. Now, Navratri is 9 days or 9 nights. What is the significance of that neuroscientifically? What is happening in that 9 days? What is very, very important? There is a huge and a deep significance of that from the neuroscience perspective. Now, when I was a young kid, I always thought, oh, it's all about the fun and the masti of it. And, you just go around. I mean, I used to learn the Garbas and all the traditional dandiyas and the way we used to play. I thought that was all that Navratri was about. But when I understood the neuroscience, I was completely mind blown. Why do we celebrate the 3 and 9 days? And then, of course, the celebration of the last day, the Dashera, which means we have actually hunted over or won over the Asuras or the evil forces inside us. Now, what are these evil forces? And what does these 9 nights signify? In fact, when Rishi Markandeya set up in the valleys of Yamunotri composing the Puranas, nobody knew that what a beautiful this entire epic scripture this would go to be. In fact, it is said that this is one of the best neuroscientific and psychological literature that we have of our time. And in the Devi Mahatmya or also the Chandipat, which is derived from the chapters of the Markandeya Purana 81 to 93, the scientist sage, and it's a beautiful, beautiful description which is describing this epic battle of the 9 nights when the Supreme Mother Adi Shakti has to descend to the mortal dimensions as Maa Durga, as Chandi, to vanquish the 9 demonic tendencies or the demonic forces that was holding us back from the harmony, that was holding us back from the Dharma. Now let us understand, why do we need to celebrate it? First of all, please understand every little festival has a neuroscientific significance to it. We fast. Why do we need to fast? That is autophagy, because what happens when we are not feeding continuously the sugar, there is a system which is rested. There is a system in which we are not overwhelming the entire system. In that rest, we recover. The cells recover. In fact, intermittent fasting has shown to be protective for cancers. Intermittent fasting has been shown to be good for brain health, for cognition, for memory. So the fasting also signifies withdrawing the sense organs. I don't want to be continuously eating the food. I don't want to be continuously indulging in the sense pleasures. So that's the beautiful benefit of fasting. We, all of us at various, I think globally across wherever the Indian tradition is, Navratri is very, very special. It is auspicious. It comes as after immediately when the Pitru Paksha is finished. So what is it signifying? What are the first 3 days all about? We do chant certain mantras and we do certain meditation. We do certain pujas. Why are all these very, very, very important and necessary? And I would strongly recommend that for the younger generations to mirror what you are doing. It is very, very important for us to start doing that in the first place. So let me start with the first 3 days. What is the first 3 days all about? It is winning over these egocentric tendencies. It is winning over the default mode network's connections. Now, what is the default mode network? In the brain, there is a system and a structure which is called default mode network. When I'm not doing anything, I'm just lying like that. I'm just not attending to any task. My brain would continuously ruminate. It wants to think who I am, what I do, what did I do, what am I going to do. It is all bringing the egocentric tendencies into me. When the DMN is firing at a very fast speed or it is constantly buzzing, I am constantly not in the present. I'm either ruminating in the past or I'm anxious about the future. The very important meditation practices or the chanting practices, the first 3 days would lead you to have the deactivation of this default mode network. So very, very, very important, and a lot of meditators have been found to have done this and absolutely won over the first thing, what we call the Mahamaya or the Tamasic tendencies. Tamasic is nothing but bringing you down, the sexual desires, or for that matter, the stuff which is constantly about fight, flight, fear. That is exactly what we spoke in the limbic brain. So the first 3 days, it's all about chanting, which is deactivating these forces. It is deactivating this limbic system and the default mode network. I keep talking in my all the videos. Please do have a look at the previous videos. Thank you for being part of the channel where I talk about the frontal cortex. It is such an important seat of human consciousness. Both my frontal cortex should be functioning well so that I can effectively discriminate. I can make judgments. I can do a proper analysis of what is in store for me. I can be futuristic. Frontal cortex allows me to have attuned communication. Frontal cortex is the mastery for life, and very, very important. When we subdue the limbic system, we do get a chance to develop this prefrontal cortex. The chants are helping us do that. The Mahalaxmi or the Mahalaxmi, what we say, we did discuss about the Lakshmi mantra as well in one of our previous topics. And what does that signify? It is signifying that we want to, in the Rajasic part of it, we want to control everything. I'm hyperactive. I want to control this. I want to control that. This is exactly asking us to disengage. It is asking us to step back. It is asking us to now let go. It is asking us to release this so that harmony comes from within, that bliss comes from within. All the feel-good hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin is brought in. And finally, what is the last 3 days is the Maa Durga, which is talking about destroying the over-analytical mind. This is very, very interesting for me because what happens is we all are in the overthinking rut. All our mind speeds, cars are going at 150 kilometers an hour. It is getting so difficult for each of us to stop, to pause, to reflect, to work on ourselves inside out. We're so busy with all the shining outside toys that we have forgotten that the bliss, the harmony, the peace, the centeredness is lying within us. And essentially that centeredness, peace is also within the part of the neurostructure or the brain's fundamental structure, which means that we need to understand, disengage our mind's control. And that is also the addiction for the cycle of addicting to attachments or addiction to few things. I mean, I see a lot of people addicted to internet. I see a lot of youngsters addicted to social media. That mind's property to hook on to something, that limbic system's property to not leave, to not let go. So these 3 days we pray, we meditate, we make these chants in such a way that we win over it. And of course, Saraswati Ma is always part of the entire tradition. Beautiful. It is the significance of that knowledge, of that brilliance, which is allowing us to actually have a life which is very, very discriminative. Savidyaya vimuktaya, right? The knowledge actually frees you. Frees you from what? These egocentric desires, these tendencies, these limbic inhibitions, these problems which are pulling you down. And essentially, otherwise, life is such a beautiful and wonderful way to live and lead. So when these asuras or the demons, it's not really the outside demons. It is my inside demons, it is my inside tendencies, prakriti, which has to be won over. And when I do won over it, then I complete the celebration of the 9 days. Now, why is there so much of music and the dance, and what does the Garba signify? I was completely mind blown when I heard this fact from one of my professors that the Garba is actually done so that we entrain ourselves. You are thinking completely differently. I am thinking very differently. My mind is running at a very different speed and pace as compared to yours. We do not relate to each other. We do not connect to each other. But the moment our breathing synchronize, the moment our movement synchronize, I start understanding what you're thinking. I start to connect with your mind. I start to now understand where you're coming from. And this particular thing is called entrainment. So the moment my dancing rhythm, my breathing rhythm is now entrained in a circle, I'm going perfectly in the tune and the rhythm of it, that is when my mind's also synchronized. What a beautiful, beautiful concept. And we don't just dance randomly. There is a center force. There is a central force of Mataji, which is what we say that it is establishment of the Mataji, which is in the center. And then we go around in the clockwise, which means the center for me is the truth. It is the purity. It is the soul consciousness or the final ultimate truth which remains in the center. And then I go around it where I get the maximum benefit of keeping that as the center and running my life of Maya or the illusion that we all are in. What a beautiful way to celebrate these beautiful and auspicious days. Now, please remember, these are the days for not indulgence. And that is what, unfortunately, this festival has become. A lot of people would not sleep until 5 a.m. in the morning. They would just carry on and then drink or have all the foods which is not right to eat, etc. So the entire vision, or actually the reason why this particular practice was done, is completely lost. Now you're very fatigued, you're very tired, you succumb to illnesses. Sleep, even for one single night not slept well, can have a detrimental effect. Let me give you a statistic. A flu shot without sleeping and flu shot sleeping for 8 hours a night prior. You will be amazed to see what is the difference. A flu shot without sleeping 8 hours would be 50% less effective. Surprised? I was surprised when I read this paper as well. Flu shot, the prior night not sleeping, would be ineffective by 50%. Yes, that is the power of the sleep. Another study, let me quote you, that if you are not sleeping for 7 days at a length for more than 5 or less than 5 hours, 7 days, less than 5 hours, what is happening in the brain or in the body? Roughly about 711 genes are permanently knocked out. 711 genes permanently knocked out. And one of the major genes is also about high density lipids or high density lipoprotein, and cardiac issues and brain other issues such as strokes, etc. So technically every single 8 hours roughly what we sleep, that's an average, by the way. You go from 7 to 9. Sleep is such a beautiful and interesting topic I would be covering, and if you want any other particular topics to be covered, thank you for all the comments, all the love that has been showered across the globe. But please remember that these are the 9 nights where you want to work on yourself. You want to work inside out. You want to pray, you want to meditate, you want to listen to those beautiful, I think the first day was Shailaputri mantras, beautiful mantras, the Brahmani mantras. Please, the Lakshmi mantras, please listen to them with the intent of the help which you are trying to achieve in the context of the brain, and then you will see the difference. Our entire job, our entire processes of having celebrations of such festivals is to actually become aware of our tendencies, of our prakriti. I love certain Sanskrit words, to become aware of those things which is continuously pushing us into the darkness of ignorance, which is pushing us into pain, which is pushing us into hardness, which is pushing us into being non-human. That is what needs to change, and that is what which can be changed scientifically, very much neuroscientifically. So again, I wish each of you humble wishes for the Navratri. We will keep talking neuroscience in the daily life. We will keep bringing one or other fascinating topics for you, especially the neurosleep one. I promise that's going to be the next one. So then, see ya again.